You're listening to the No Bullshit Vegan Podcast, episode 218. Javant Benton joins me to discuss whole food plant-based eating, the power of fiber, and building lasting health habits.
Welcome to the No Bullshit Vegan Podcast. Myth-busting and evidence-based advice to help you kick butt with your health and fitness on a vegan diet. Here's your host, Karina Inkster.
Hey, I'm Karina, your go-to no BS vegan fitness and nutrition coach. Thanks for joining me. If you're looking for a strength program that saves you time, reduces the mental load of figuring everything out on your own, and supports both body composition goals and long-term health, check out our coaching programs. We provide flexible, travel-friendly, if you need it, programming, direct access to me and Coach Zoe, and custom video feedback to help you train smarter and stay consistent. Learn more at karinainkster.com/coaching. My guest today is Javant Benton. Javant is the creator of Healthy Vegan Eating, a healthy lifestyle advocate and self-taught cook whose journey began over 15 years ago. Faced with personal health challenges, he discovered the transformative power of nutrition and reclaimed his health. After years of self-study and research, he now inspires and empowers a thriving community of over 1 million followers on his social media platforms by sharing health insights and delicious recipes that help others overcome their own health challenges. Javant recently wrote his first cookbook titled Make Your Own, where he shares over 120 healthy vegan recipes using no oil, wheat, refined sugar, or ultra-processed ingredients. Here's our conversation. Hi, Javant. Thank you so much for coming on the show and speaking with me today.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
I was looking at your Instagram, super impressed. Hey, you're getting close to 1 million followers. Holy shit. That's amazing.
Yeah, my thoughts exactly.
That is awesome. Well, I want to talk about the work you do. You've got a new book coming out, super exciting. Want to learn all these things. But when my guest is vegan, which is most of the time, but not all the time, I like to start with the vegan story. So this is kind of the whole connecting factor for why I have this show, why I reach out to people. Why is Javant vegan?
Well, I'm vegan because I am in a place where the facts led me. I tell everybody all the time when I was wanting to get healthy, which is what I wanted, I didn't have any kind of a title in mind. I didn't have a mental construct of what that meant. I was open, right? I tried the paleo diet. I tried eat right for your blood type. I tried to eat alkaline diet. I did all those things and they had value. They brought value. But the more I studied, the more the facts told me that if I wanted to be my absolute healthiest, in my opinion, that probably the best and safest way to do that was through a whole food plant-based diet that is vegan. As long as it's supplemented properly, I think that is the healthiest diet.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of people do come to veganism, plant-based eating, whatever you want to call it, through health. You know, some people have a major health crisis. I've heard this happen a lot of times, some major health crisis, and a doctor's like, well, we're going plant-based. Are there other things since you've gone vegan that have come into this equation, like the ethical piece, the environmental piece, anything like that? How does that part feel?
That's a beautiful question. And that's one of the ironies of being vegan. You know, growing up here in America, you're indoctrinated to eat meat. And that's what I did. And that's what everyone around me did. And so I never thought about, we're killing animals. I didn't think about the animals. I love dogs and cats. I don't worry about cows and pigs and, those kind of things. And so for me, again, it was a very selfish motive. I just wanted to be healthy. I did have that health scare, like you said, that signature health scare that got me thinking, okay, what do I do? But the funny thing is that after I became vegan and my taste buds recalibrated, my mentality in a way recalibrated, then the empathy came. And then I started thinking, wow, I was eating animals. Like I'm not cool with that anymore. And the thought of that now really is off-putting to me. I couldn't eat an animal anymore. And I feel for the animals now, but I did not have that mentality going in. And I do want to say something that I say to all my vegan friends is I remain empathetic to people who do eat meat. Mm-hmm. I'm never going to be that person that is waving the finger. How could you? Come on, get enlightened, that kind of thing. Because I was there. I was in that space. And I'm fortunate, and you're fortunate, and any of us who have become vegan are fortunate that we've been enlightened or had some kind of epiphany moment that brought us here. But for those who have not made it, I still have empathy for, and I don't, look down on anyone who eats meat at all.
That's a really important factor because I feel like there's a lot of do it this one specialized way, and that's the only correct way of doing it in veganism. And I think that honestly, that's alienating. It's alienating, calling other people carnists. I mean, all this kind of stuff is not going to make more vegans, which is what we all want, right? We don't care if people come to veganism for health reasons or for environmental reasons. It just seems to move toward ethics at some point for most people if they stick with it. And I've seen it so many times. Someone comes to it for health reasons, and then they're like, oh, wait, there's more. And it expands. So it's really interesting. You mentioned some health things that may have precipitated this change. Are you comfortable talking about those?
Oh, absolutely. They were the standard things. I mean, there are things that most Americans end up with at some point, and it's starting to happen earlier and earlier in life now because of the diet they were eating. I had pre-hypertensive, pre-diabetic, and then they were running tests for glaucoma. And so there was a fear element for me. And I started doing a lot of research, and I never did go back. I was supposed to get a biopsy, and I said, no, I'm going to change my diet and do these things, and what happens, happens. And so, yeah, but those were the health scares. And I was 80 pounds, small detail, I was 85 pounds overweight. I have some before and after pictures in my book where you see I was much bigger than I am now. But now I'm, the right size and weight and fit and shape. So yeah, those are the things I were up against.
That makes sense. I think a lot of folks can relate to that in terms of having experienced them themselves or knowing someone who was just diagnosed with diabetes or high blood pressure or heart disease or whatever it is. Very often there's a wake-up call. So this was what, like 15 years ago? Is that about right?
Yeah, about that. 15, 17, somewhere in there. Uh-huh.
We're not talking about like a year ago. You've been doing the vegan thing for a decade and a half or more at this point.
Yeah. Well, again, I evolved, right? So that it was 15, 17 years ago when I had the health scare.
Okay.
But again, I went the route of paleo, and then I went here and I went there. It was very incremental with me, but I've been straight up vegan for about 7 years now, I would say.
Okay. That makes sense. Right.
Mm-hmm.
15-year journey, half of which approximately has been vegan.
Yes.
So tell me about this new cookbook that you've got going out. I assume this has some of your journey. It's 120 recipes, if I'm not mistaken.
120 plus. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So tell me about this project. It's super exciting.
Yeah. I mean, I want to help change, the way people eat with my recipes, one person, one family at a time. And so I'm vegan. So my dishes are all vegan, but not just that. They have no oil, no gluten. So no refined wheat, no kind of wheat at all, and no refined sugar. And minimal processed ingredients. So, when I explain it that way, it sounds like, oh, well, that's boring, but it's not boring. It's fascinating. And when I wrote the book, and the thing that I was thinking is this, what are the biggest hurdles for people when they're trying to eat healthy in general? Because everybody has their own journey. But some of the common themes that people have as to why they don't succeed with diets, there are a lot of them, right? A lack of skill, not knowing how to prepare the food. My book covers that. Lack of diversity. People think, if you tell someone you're gonna change your way of eating, you're gonna transition to a healthier diet, the first thing they think about is deprivation. They're thinking, okay, what can't I eat? And so my niche, my forte has been that I'm going to give you the salads and the bowls and the hummus and, tabbouleh and all those delicious, beautiful things. But for people who haven't evolved to have the taste buds to really appreciate those type of foods just yet, what I do is I make the foods that people have the sentimental attachment to, the things that you would think you have to give up. So, for example, in my book, I have a delicious lasagna, but it's not just a spinach lasagna. It has my veggie ground in it, which is my answer to, ground beef. Mm-hmm. And it's my most popular recipe because it's spot on. It just has a great flavor, great taste. So I give you that lasagna, but I also give you chocolate chip cookies. I give you apple pie. And again, you say, well, yeah, apple pie. But I'm saying no refined wheat, no refined sugar, no oil, right? But anything you think of, scrambled eggs, bacon, sausage, I've got all that in the book. Okay, so you're not going out and buying these, fake meats that are full of all kinds of oils and fillers and emulsifiers. I'm giving you the recipes that that represent the foods that you grew up loving, that you would think you would have to give up to eat healthy. But I'm doing it with no oil, no wheat, no refined sugar, and vegan.
I like what you said about it's basically meeting people where they are, right? So
Yes.
the target audience might be someone who just had a health scare and wants to go plant-based, but also has connections to all these foods and is feeling like it's going to be very avoidant if they go vegan, like, oh, I can't have my bacon anymore, or my scrambled eggs, or my apple pie, or whatever. So I think this concept of connecting foods that someone's already familiar with, but saying, you know what, there's a different way of doing this. It can be plant-based. It can be whole foods. That's huge.
Absolutely. And I want to elaborate on that further and say that there are alternatives out there. You can go into Whole Foods and go into grocery stores and find a vegan scrambled egg or a vegan sausage. But when you look at the ingredients, I mean, they're just full of things that I wouldn't want to be eating, artificial flavors. And even if it's organic and all natural and all these things, there's still going to be processed soy, all kind of ingredients that are not health promoting. So not only do I give you those sentimental dishes, but I give them to you in a way that is health promoting, full of fiber, made with whole plants and, really health promoting ingredients.
I also just want to throw out there, as a fitness and nutrition coach, I don't think there's any such thing as a bad food. I eat Beyond Burgers every 2 weeks because they're delicious. I think that's fine. The important thing is it's within the context of a mostly whole foods, plant-based diet. So I personally don't have anything against oils. I think the research honestly has been misinterpreted a lot of times. Matthew Nagra is a great resource for certain oils actually being health promoting. Not all of them. Can't paint them all with the same brush. So just throwing out there, I don't think it's necessary for the entire population to go wheat-free, oil-free, gluten-free. But for those who have health conditions, those who are celiac and can't have gluten, maybe someone's been diagnosed with late-stage heart disease, something like that, I think there is a time and a place. And I think there is a market for that. So just want to throw that out there.
So first of all, I do agree with you in that no one's ever heard me say that a food is bad because I don't label foods as good or bad. Some are just healthier than others, more health promoting. And I don't have anything against any food. Foods are foods. They're innate. I mean, I don't have anything against oil or against refined wheat or against gluten. I don't have anything against them. I don't have a personal feeling towards them, but I do recognize what they are. As far as oil being health promoting, listen, I agree with you. Oil can be a part of a very healthy diet and can be health promoting. When you put oil on a salad, when you put fat on a salad, right, it helps absorb the nutrients, right? It makes the nutrients up to 4 times more absorbable.
100%.
Here's the thing about oil versus what I do, because what I do to replace oil, it depends on what I'm doing. If I'm stir frying, I just use water. There's a radical idea. What's the oil for? I mean, you just use water. It's not going to stick. And if the oil, I know, can help carry the flavor and all that stuff. But I just saute with water. I use nut butters when I'm baking instead of oil because the nut butters have the fiber. And then I use nuts and seeds to make the dressings that I make. And again, like you said, I have almost 1 million followers or over 1 million followers combined on my platforms, and they love the recipes. So what I'm saying to you is that it's not necessarily that oil isn't healthy. It can be health promoting, but no oil is as healthy as nuts and seeds. Not one. Because the oil is refined, a lot of things are removed. It's monounsaturated fat, but so are nuts, and some nuts have healthier fats than oil does. Oil also has no fiber, so if you have any extra weight on your body whatsoever, eating the most calorically dense food on the planet, which is oil, 120 calories per tablespoon, regardless if it's coconut, olive, avocado, 4,000 calories a pound. So if you have any extra weight on your body and you're thinking, I want to lose weight, what should I eat? The first thing I would say is get rid of the oil. And that sounds radical, but again, if you look at my recipes, I have no oil. I get the same flavor, the same results using nuts and seeds instead. I don't want anybody to think I'm saying, if you eat oil, you're eating unhealthy. I'm not saying that at all. I can eat oil and be healthy because I'm super active. I work out all the time. Right? I just know nuts and seeds are healthier, and I can make the same things you're making taste just as good, but they are healthier. It is a healthier additive to put nuts and seeds instead of oil.
Right. I'm glad you bring that up because my guard is always kind of up when people say no oil, no sugar, no processed anything. I'm like, yeah, but there's not actually a ton of legit research that says we have to completely eliminate those things, depending on context. depending on context.
Yeah, well, the way you're wording it is a little, awkward because, you're asking me what I do. I'm not suggesting that anyone give up anything. I always say I'm never telling people what they should do. I'm telling them what they could do.
Right.
And my recipes are just one option. But I'm not saying to anyone, you need to do this, you need to do that. I'm saying if you're asking me, what do you make? What do you do? How am I in the shape that I am? How did I recover? I'm telling you what I did. There's no positive to refined wheat and refined sugar. There's just not. Zero. I mean, unless you're starving, unless you take an egregious example. But refined sugar is inflammatory, blah, 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 blah. If you want to eat it, that's fine. And I make food for family members that has those things in it. So I'm not one that's trying to dictate to people what they should be eating. But the research that I've done, the research that others have done, prominent doctors, the studies are out there. I mean, refined sugar is not really a food. It's like a poison in our body, the way it reacts. But if it's your thing to eat it, that's fine. I ate it for years and other people still do, and that's fine.
What you're saying totally makes sense. Like, you're not saying everyone must eat this way. You're saying this is how I did it. This is how I healed. This is my journey. You can do it too. So I just want to make that clear that this is from a personal, what has worked for you, right? I mean, I could do the same. I'm allergic to nuts. So I do oil because I need 3,000 calories a day and can't do nuts and most fruit and a whole bunch of other things. So, individual differences, obviously I'm an outlier in terms of allergies, but I think it is an important point that they're not bad necessarily, but you do have these options of doing gluten-free, whole foods, no sugar, no oil, and have it taste amazing.
Absolutely. You also said that you eat the Beyond Meat and stuff. I do think that's bad. I think it's horrible. I think that the ingredients in it is high in sodium, which is a number one driver of heart disease, which is the number one killer. As I said, it has all kind of oils in it, processed oils. I mean, it's saturated fat is off the charts. So I do think that Beyond Meat and those kind of fake meats are bad foods. I don't use the word bad a lot, but those are not health promoting foods. They're not good foods. I would never eat them. And I would tell anyone out there who I love, don't eat that junk if you're asking me, because it's just a junk.
Fair enough. I'm a fitness coach who eats Oreos once a month and Beyond Burgers every couple of weeks because I work out every day. I'm healthy. I eat a whole the rest of the time. I got no issues.
I work out every day. All my C-reactive protein, whatever you want to name, is great. There's different ways to get to health. I make Oreo cookies. I have them on my YouTube without the junk. I make Fig Newtons without the junk, Thin Mints, Samoas, the Girl Scout cookie. I mean, you name it. I make it and leave out the junk. So, even if you want those Oreos or those snacks, for me, I'm just telling you there's a way you can make those things without the detrimental ingredients.
Fair enough. What's the kind of overall approach that you have? You mentioned in the kind of guest form that we have for our folks who come on the show, fiber versus protein. What's the kind of overarching thought behind this? Are you saying fiber should be a priority?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, if you care about gut health, and our gut health is the center of our health, 70% of our immune system is in our gut, and nothing promotes gut health like different forms of fiber, a variety of fibers. And so I said protein versus fiber because often when you talk to someone about veganism that's not a vegan, the first thing they'll ask is, where do I get my protein?
For sure.
They're hyper-focused on protein. And so I say, well, listen, where are you getting your fiber?
Yes.
If we're not eating a lot of plants, because the number one nutrient deficiency in America is a lack of fiber. 95% of people don't get the minimum requirement for fiber. And so, you see all this IBS and dysbiosis and leaky gut and all these things because our guts aren't healthy. And again, when you eat a variety of plants and you eat a variety of fibers, nothing is more health promoting for the gut. And so, yes, I'm saying instead of being fixated on protein, which is easy to get if you're getting enough calories, even on a vegan diet, if you're eating enough calories, generally you're getting enough protein. More so, you should be concerned about fiber if you're not eating a lot of plants.
Yeah, I was going to bust out the exact same stat. 95. I've even seen 97% of North Americans are, I would call it fiber deficient because, as you said, they're not even hitting the minimum suggested amount per day, which is insane. Absolutely insane. Yeah. So in terms of ingredients of note, you mentioned as soon as you tell someone you're vegan, they're like, oh, where do you get your protein from? We've heard this 1 million times in our time of being vegan. I love the response of, well, where do you get your fiber from? It kind of turns it around.
Yes.
Does a little 180.
Yes.
it also puts fiber as something important to consider. Maybe I'm stereotyping here, but I think most people don't really think about fiber like they do protein.
Yeah, totally. That's changing some. Dr. Bolsowich just did a book, Fiber Fuel, that was
right.
a big time New York Times bestseller. And so I think that people are starting to get the message. I mean, at least some are. And, and the importance of fiber is just going to become more and more well known and more mainstream, I believe. And it'll lead more people to, again, another thing I always say is you don't have to be vegan to be healthy. You can eat meat and be healthy. The studies I've seen and read say that if you keep your meat to 10% or less of total calories and the rest of your diet is comprised of healthy, whole food, plant foods, that can be a healthy diet. But the importance of fiber can't be understated. I mean, it's just so essential to our gut health. And again, our gut is the center of our immune system, the center of our health. When you take care of your gut, then by default, you're taking care of the rest of your body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes complete sense. There's a lot of interesting research coming out on the connection between our gut and mental health.
Yes.
It's super fascinating.
Yeah. I've been studying that, the vagus nerve, how it connects our brain to our gut. And it's a real thing. I mean, the neurotransmitters, dopamine and serotonin are made in our gut also. And they're direct contributors to our pleasure sensors and how we feel. When you get really nervous, you have to go speak in front of 1,000 people. Where do you feel it? It's a gut feeling, right?
Exactly.
Your gut is very much connected with your emotions and with your brain. That's been validated. And that's something else that we need to get out to, along with the whole fiber deal.
Yeah, definitely. You have this kind of 4 pillars of health concept with diet, exercise, sleep habits, and mindset. So we've been talking about diet. I mean, I think that's the foundation of everything. We have a pyramid that we use with our training clients where things on the bottom are the most important, like the foundation. And then the things at the top are still part of the picture, but not quite as important. And the thing that's on the base of this health pyramid is nutrition. It is diet. Nothing else really is going to have an effect unless your nutrition suits whatever you're doing, whether it's training, body composition goals, general health, living to your 103, whatever it is. So, and then the next thing is strength training for us in this pyramid. And I feel like the exercise piece for you involves that to some degree, but maybe you can tell me a little more about that in terms of your 4 pillars.
Yeah, we're in lockstep because I do believe that diet is the most important part, but man, exercise is close. It's right behind it. And so when I'm talking to people, because I do coaching through my app also, but when I'm talking to people about health, I say it's like you have 4 levers, right? And they go from 0 to 10. So you got diet, exercise, sleep, and a positive mindset. And you want all of them to be as close to 10 as you can. I mean, I don't know that anyone has them all completely on 10, eating a so-called perfect diet, whatever that may be, and getting a perfect amount of sleep, et cetera, et cetera. But again, you want to push those levers as close to 10 as you can. If one of them comes easy for you, if you love to sleep, then get your 7.5 hours regularly. If you love to exercise, then do it daily for at least 30 minutes and mix in some aerobic as well as some weight-resistant training. But I will say this, although I feel like nutrition is the most important, people underestimate exercise because not only does it help you control your weight, which is a good thing because, when you have extra fat on the body, all kind of negative consequences occur and you're at a higher risk of everything. Well, exercise helps you control your weight, but exercise also helps you rest better, helps you sleep better. Exercise improves your mood. I mean, exercise improves anxiety. Exercise improves your gut health. I mean, exercise, if you exercise regularly, you're less likely to have diabetes, high blood pressure, heart. I mean, exercise is amazing. And so I do it daily, and I really put an emphasis on it if I'm coaching someone. And in my app, on my social media, it's a food page, right? So I'm just doing nutrition, and I really don't dwell into the other aspects. But in my app, I put a heavy, I've got you can go and formulate it on your own personal workout. You put in what your goals are, and then you get a personal workout plan, and I'm doing all exercises. I'm demonstrating them and then, working out with you. So exercise is key. I also want to say this, though. If you're eating a great diet and you're exercising consistently and regularly and you're getting enough sleep, but you have a lot of emotional trauma that you haven't dealt with, currently or in the past, and you're, just holding on to this to negative, that's going to sabotage. Well, it's going to definitely compromise and possibly sabotage all the good you're doing in the other three areas. Conversely, if you're eating well and you're sleeping well and you got a positive mindset, but you're not exercising, that's going to sabotage. So, it's hard to really say which is more important because they're all so vital. And being good in one area helps the other area. Again, if you work out consistently, it helps you sleep better. So that affects that. If you sleep regularly, you have more energy to exercise. If you have a positive mindset, you want to do healthy habits. And if you exercise, it helps your mental being. So they all, it's a synergistic approach, and they all are very important. So yeah, I mainly talk about food on my pages, but exercise is definitely a very, very key component to an overall healthy lifestyle.
100%. Yeah, it's not as simple as just saying, well, here's the pyramid and first you do this and then you do this, because completely agreed, they're fully interrelated. Yes. I think it just, like for a beginner who isn't thinking about nutrition at all, who doesn't exercise, who is stressed, who doesn't sleep enough, they're like, oh my God, where do I start? It can be a way to kind of simplify it a little. But yeah, as you said, they're all related. 100%. It's more like a web than a pyramid, right? They affect each other. And so it's important to do all those things.
I love the pyramid too. I think it creates a great visual, and just gives people an idea of how to approach it. So I love the idea of the pyramid also.
Cool. Tell me about this app. So you mentioned there's a workout piece. It's the Healthy Vegan Lifestyle app. What's the deal?
Yeah, so it has all of my recipes and the videos, and it has some exclusive recipes that aren't online, over 500 recipes in all. Again, vegan, oil-free, wheat-free, refined sugar-free. As I said, it has the exercise component where you go in and say, hey, I want to work out at the gym and I want to lose weight and burn fat. And then I give you exercises to do each week, and they change after a week, and it just keeps going through. So it keeps it interesting. You might say, well, I want to work out at home and I want to do it with dumbbells. I've got exercises for that. You might say, I want to do calisthenics and I want to do them at home. I've got exercises for that. All kinds of things. And then I have informative videos telling you why HIIT training is so important, and telling you what aerobic training is and why it's so important, et cetera, et cetera. So it's very comprehensive. And then I have the same thing for sleep. I have a sleep section. I have some recipes that have things that have serotonin in them, so it can help you sleep. I have some guided relaxation audios that I do, as well as some sleep aids where I talk to you and play soft music, and you can use them as a sleep aid. And then I have a lot of videos talking about what you can do if you're having trouble sleeping and what some remedies might be. And then the same thing with mindset. I have positive mindset exercises. I have videos talking about trauma and how to deal with it. I have exercises where you can go back to your childhood on this kind of guided tour that I take you on and think back to your childhood and some things. So it's just very comprehensive. Everything is covered. I have a lot of interviews that I did with people like Dr. Greger and Dr. Furman and Dr. Barnard, where I'm asking them about these subjects, and we're just kind of having a conversation on some of the things that people ask me the most about. So I'm telling you, the app is just like, it's my magnum opus. I mean, it's like, I love it. I love the book, but the app is just so comprehensive. It just covers everything. And a lot of people are using it, have a community board, so people support people there. I could go on and on.
What I like about it is that it actually has a plan, right? I mean, books are great. I think, obviously, I've got like a whole shelf of vegan cookbooks, vegan lifestyle, vegan strength training. It's like a whole library. Am I in there every day, paging through stuff, like looking for my next inspiration? No. But if it was an app, I probably would be. If there was a community aspect, if there was something that changed every week, like a progressive workout plan, for sure. I feel like I'd be more invested. And, you're demonstrating exercises. You've got a little more well-rounded, I guess, than focusing on cooking and recipes. So I like that. It's holistic, I guess would be the word.
Yes. And that was my intention, because as you said with your pyramid, they all matter, it's all important. And so the app is a place where I get to really bring in those other elements and elaborate on things. And I think I have over 1,000 videos, a lot of informative videos talking about diabetes and blood pressure and bone health and menopause and cancer and on and on and on. And even nutritional facts. I'll take a food and just tell you what's healthy about whatever it is. So yeah, very comprehensive, and people, are happy with it, and I'm happy about that.
That's awesome. So is that at healthyveganlifestyle.com?
Yeah, if you go to healthyveganlifestyle.com, it has my book, and you can, look at my book and read up about it. It has the app. I also do speaking engagements, so it has a page on that. It has my bio. So yeah, so it's all there. Whatever you're looking for, you can find it at. Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. Hey, I'm curious about this mindset piece. So you mentioned a little bit when we were talking about the app. What kind of things do you do personally to foster positive mindset, to, be consistent with your health habits? I don't use the word motivation because I feel like, some days we have it, some days we don't. Motivation is fine, but it's not how we stick to things long term, right? I do not feel motivated to do every single workout, but I've got other things in place that force me to be consistent, just as an example. So what are some kind of general mindset pieces of wisdom you have for our listeners?
Well, first of all, I want to say I love what you just said about motivation. Now, I always tell people, I'm not a motivator, I'm an educator. Even when I'm training, I said, if you bring the want to, I'll bring the know-how.
Nice.
You bring the dedication, I'll bring the education. And I don't like the word discipline.
Right.
Discipline is a good thing, but in the context of trying to help someone improve their health, when you say discipline, again, I think it brings up deprivation. It's like, okay, discipline. I have to force myself to do something I really don't want to do. I have to it's like forcing yourself to do something. And so I don't like discipline. I like the word focus, right? I like the word focus, be focus driven. So it's really in alignment with what you just said. I love that. But the positive mindset for me, I kind of am an outlier in that even when I was really young, I'm saying 11 and 12 years old, I used to really think deeply about things and really analyze things, probably too deeply for 11 and 12 and 13. Because I would talk to my friends and they go, what are you talking about, man? And now they come back and go, hey, I see what you meant. Back in 8th grade, you were telling me this and that. So I've already been really reflective and introspective, and that's really helped me deal with things. And I will say that when you exercise and when you eat well, it's a fact. It can help you. It can help you with anxiety. It can help you have a positive mindset. When you feel good, you're naturally going to be happier just because you have so much energy. But for me, it has been meditating. Every morning I get up at about 4:00, well before I have to go to work, and I do some meditation and I exercise. And even as I exercise, I practice deep breathing to stimulate that vagus nerve and to just really go inward. But I think it can mean different things for different people. I don't think there is one right approach to have a positive mindset. But again, in my app, I have activities that are kind of, thought-provoking. I have guided meditations to help you relax. And it's just learning not to harbor things, to deal with it, release it, and let it go. For some people, that might take a therapist. For some people, it could take a support group. For some people, it takes mom or dad or friend or sister, or just like me, going inward. Like the diet and like the exercise, there's no one approach that works for everybody. But it's definitely something that I think everybody should be figuring out for themselves, and then figure out, do I need some help to achieve this place where I can be at peace with myself, with my choices, with my prior choices, because they're over. I can't influence them. So stop beating myself up over it and learn that I did what I did because of who I was at the time and the information I had. That's what I say all the time. When I think back on things that I did that I'm not happy of, or situations that I let, persist too long, I say, listen, I did that based on who I was at the time and the information I had. And the beauty of it is that I've evolved to where I am. And let me tell you, next year, I want to be better than I am now. 5 years from now, I want to be wiser than I am now. I want it to ever evolve. And so my mindset is, again, it's just developed over years and years and years of just going inward, meditating, breathing exercises, and when I need it, seeking some advice from people on the outside who, have more wisdom on whatever the subject is that I'm dealing with.
I love that. I like that you're focusing on the message of figure out what works for you.
Yes.
It's going to be different for each person. I always tell people I don't meditate, but I swim. That's my meditation.
Beautiful.
The breathing, the, kind of repetitive motion. Swimming in a pool is not quite as meditative as my open water that I do in the summer, lakes, oceans. But, that's what works for me. It's a huge, huge mental health game. If I couldn't do that, I'd be screwed. So I've just figured that out for myself.
And I'm with you. It's like that for me running, because I got a treadmill and I'm on the treadmill. But usually when I'm on the treadmill, I'm watching a video, some kind of health video.
Yeah.
But when I go around town and I run and it's nice outside, or even if it's cold, even if the leaves are falling, it's very, very strong to me. Like it's like meditating, just like you said about swimming. I'm just like released from the world, like I'm in my own little zone, and I'm just
Exactly.
loving myself and practicing self-love, out taking care of my body, sweating, getting the rhythm of my breathing. It's a beautiful thing. That can be like meditation.
Totally. I think the swimming piece for me is a lot to do with the breathing, because you can't breathe whenever you want. It's very dictated, right? You inhale, and then you have 3 strokes where you're exhaling, and then you inhale quickly, and then 3 more strokes of exhaling. So it's kind of like yoga breathing by default. Lots of exhalation, quick inhalation, back to it, right? So I feel like it's kind of built to be meditative somehow.
Yes, it's very therapeutic. And again, excellent for the vagus nerve when you're exhaling slowly and long. Oh, it's beautiful.
Love that. Cool. Okay. So other than your book and your app, anything else that we can plug in terms of things to leave our listeners with, places you want them to connect with you?
Well, I'm on social media. I'm on YouTube and IG. I have my page there, over 500 recipes on each, all accessible, easy to get to. You don't have to follow links and jump through hoops. I want you to have them. So the recipes are right there. They're easy to get. And, I always tell people, just go to my page and start reading the comments. I mean, don't take my word for it, because people are loving the recipes, and I love providing them. The book is available for pre-order right now, but it'll be released March 17th. So I'm in the midst of that right now, just promoting the book and finishing those things up. And then I have the app community that's ever present. So between those things, I'm very, very busy, but it's a good busy, as I always say. I love being busy doing things that I'm passionate about. And I have some other things, that I have my eye on that haven't come to fruition yet, but I have my eye on. But right now, my focus is just the book, obviously my social media platforms, and then the app.
Love that. As always, we're going to have show notes with direct links to all of those things. But sometimes folks are listening and they're like, oh, I'm at my computer right now. I might as well just type it in. So it's good to know.
Yeah. Healthy Vegan Eating, YouTube and IG, Healthy Vegan Eating. Yes.
Love it. Well, Javant, thank you so much for coming on the show. Is there anything you want to leave our listeners with?
I don't want anybody to think that you have to be vegan to be healthy. That's important to me to say, because some people that I love dearly are not vegan. And I still want them, when they're making those side dishes and those desserts, I still want them to use my recipes, right? And make the majority of what you eat delicious, health-promoting plant foods, and keep your meat 10% or less of calories or somewhere close, and you can still thrive and be very, very healthy. It doesn't have to be vegan. There are a lot of different ways to get to good health.
I love that you say that. I think it humanizes veganism a little bit, and also the compassion for people who aren't vegan comes through. I think it just makes it all around more effective in terms of education, in terms of advocacy, in terms of actually having conversations with folks about health and food and where it comes from. So I appreciate that. And I completely agree. I'm not one of these vegans who's like, well, the only way to be healthy is to be 100% plant-based. No, actually, that's not what the research says. So 100% agree. But thank you so much for speaking with me. So great to learn about your work. Super looking forward to your cookbook. And thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. I love it. Thank you.
Javant, thanks again for joining me on the show. Connect with Javant at our show notes, nobullshitvegan.com/218. And don't forget to check out our vegan fitness and nutrition coaching programs at karinainkster.com/coaching. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to the No Bullshit Vegan podcast at nobullshitvegan.com.